to give you, as you see already in the title, a rundown of how I stitch my large full coverage pieces. So currently I'm working on my Heaven and Earth design, King Henry VIII. So that's basically going to be the one that I am talking about. So there is the piece that I'm working on. So this is just some tips and tricks of how I do it to stay organized my way. Of course, I understand that the way I do it is not how everyone else does it. There are different tips and techniques out there. So if this doesn't work your way, maybe you want to go see how somebody else does theirs. I know Stitchin' Mommy has put out a video explaining her things of how she does hers, and there's others out there as well. So the very first thing I do when I'm working on a full coverage piece is I print out the color page, the color key. And I keep this with me at all times because then I am able to use this for whenever I'm working on my pattern. So that's tip number one, color key. And this one has, the way Heaven and Earth Designs has it, is they have a basic representation of the color, the symbol. This is how many strands you use. And then the color number, and the color name. Mainly what I do is I use the symbols and the color number. And actually, the ones that I use more often, I often memorize those. And so I keep these handy beside me whenever I'm working on Henry. This way I can look back at the picture to see roughly what I'm working on, to see if what I'm doing actually makes sense to the picture. And then of course, the color symbols. Number one, that's how I organize. That's the only printout pages I have, because everything else I do, I use my iPad. And this is the way I use Goodreader. So Goodreader looks like, there's the symbol for Goodreader. And then, let's do that one more time. So it's a camera with an eye on it, Goodreader. It is a paid app, but it's negligible. It's like $2 or something like that. And then from in here, I am able to highlight. So there's a page you can see. Highlight what I'm working on as I go. I highlight after I make the stitch. I know a lot of people go through and highlight first so they know where they're going. For me, it's easier to highlight after so I know that it's done. We'll come back to that. So how I organize my floss. What I do, I have a master set of DMC. However, because of the large quantities of floss that a Heaven and Earth designer or a large full coverage uses, I don't want to deplete my master set. Plus, I don't want to have to worry about dye law issues. Not that that happens too often with DMC, but you just never know and you don't want to take that risk. So what I did when I started on Henry was I went out to Joann's on one of their big, I think it was 4 for $1 at the time. I don't think they do that kind of sale anymore. I think now it's usually like 33 cents a piece. And I bought all of the thread, all of the floss that I needed for Henry. And even though I'm currently stitching on a 28 count and the pattern is based on 25 count, so I went off of, there's another set of pages before these pages that say how many skeins of floss you would need for each color. And I went off of the 25 count. That way then I have extra in case of a catastrophe like, you know, the frog came to visit or something. So, and I organize with a floss with bobbins. So this is all of the colors that I need for my Heaven and Earth design, King Henry VIII. Of course, this is one skein of each. And then I have a bag of all the extra skeins for this project that stays with this floss bobbin container. So currently I'm working on this color, so I pull it out and I keep it separate. So I'm currently working on 902. That way then I can keep all of I have some extra spaces. I keep whenever I'm not working on it, I take my needle minders off and I put them in here, and it just stays organized for me. I really like this method. And I know it's funny, some people, I number my numbers starting from the back. Ooh, don't want to mess that up. Starting from the back, working forward until we get to the last one over here. That's just how I do mine. Not saying you have to do what I do, but this is how my mind works. Okay, so I talked about the pattern. I talked about the organization. So again, I buy all of my floss at the same time. So there's guaranteed to be no issues in dye lot. And I'm sure I will have extra because I'm fairly frugal with floss, and I'm over halfway done, and I've hardly touched any of these skeins. Maybe mainly the background colors. So when I go to stitch, as you can see, and I'm going to show you on Henry itself, I go page by page and I stitch cross country, and I'm going to show you here in a second on the actual piece. But I also break each page up into sections as the patterns would suggest. So you will see, and that's why you can see over here I have all of this done, because this is more of like the larger blocks of color. Not that they're blocks, but it's a few colors that are spread throughout. Whereas over here, this is a lot more confetti, as you can see by my random yellow highlights. So with my heaven and earth designs, you can see I have, again, this is the page I'm working on. So I've been working on the back of his jacket, and you can see it's there's lots of colors in here, but it's not quite as confetti heavy as his sleeve up here. So now that I'm working, this is all one color through here that I've worked on, and then once I get this, there's a few more down in through here I have to do, and then I'll go back and start the next color. And I do cross country. So I do cross country. It's kind of like a mixed cross country parking, other than I don't park my threads, but I do it through sections. So for example, here on this page, I did all of his jacket first, and then I came over and did the dark browns and blacks. That way I'm not constantly switching colors, but I'm also seeing progress through the page. And this is how I like to stitch my heaven and earth designs, or any of my full coverage or large project pieces. I keep 2 needle minders, one for my petites, because I usually keep at least 1 petite on here in case I get an issue with pulling thread at the back, or I'm getting down to a really small piece of floss. And then I keep multiple regular needles on another needle minder. And this is because once I get to the really heavy confetti stuff, to keep moving, I will thread up 3 or 4 needles and do those, and then turn it over and cut them all off and finish them, and then move on to the next 3 or 4 colors. So I know that was a very, very, also, for example, with it's going to be hard to see. So say like up here, I will go X by X. But then whenever I get to a section such as this, where there's a lot of X's in the same row, I will do row by row. So I will do all the legs one way and then come back and do the legs this way. But when it's heavy confetti or single stitches here and there, I will do 1x at a time because that helps with the carrying of the floss on the back. As you can see by here is my back. I do not worry about what my back looks like because it's a full coverage. You're not going to have to worry about carrying. And I will carry fairly far. It doesn't bother me because you're not going to see that when it's done. So, if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments in the section or in below. Also, you can reach out to me on Instagram, ginger.gerald.stitcher. I will be more than happy to have a conversation there if you have any other questions. Also, one last thing, I do use my Lowry stand so that I can do full coverage, or I can use my large frame, and I have the large frame accessory for the Lowry, and I will be showing this in another video how to utilize this accessory. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me through through YouTube or Instagram, and I will be more than happy to get back to you as fast as I can. Happy stitching. Enjoy your week and enjoy every stitch. Bye.